Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I'm going to show you the top 3 ways to become a famous rapper. Now I've studied the pros, I've been around the pros, I've been around their mentors, I've been around the people who actually own the pros, meaning the people who sign the pros or the people who are influencing the pros at a higher level. So there are people behind the pros. And here's the first thing. Who backs you? Joe Budden brought this question up. Who backs you? Now, if it's the streets who back you, you have to realize the streets own the clubs. The clubs are where you perform. So they can get you in as like a puzzle piece to their business to get you to perform. Now, the streets don't always operate on, a cordial level, okay? So that's why it's separated from the corporate level. But, the streets own the clubs. So think of it that way. They own the place that you want to perform at. Okay, there's no other place you can perform at without paying a heavy fee. And I'll get into what this means in a second. So ask your question, who owns the venue? Okay. You know who really owns the music industry is the Jewish culture. They've invested so much in entertainment and they run entertainment. And I love their culture. They're powerful people. They got together, put their money together and started owning things. So that's why you see a lot of owners, a lot of real people who make real decisions are of the Jewish families. Okay. They own the radio stations. They own the venues, concert venues. They own the theaters. Okay, these are the people who make decisions as to who's going to perform in their theater. Now, imagine this, okay? Let's say a venue costs you $15,000 to rent or to use for your commercial use. Would you rather pay $15,000 of cash out of pocket to even hopefully profit from that at your show? Or would you rather pay $0 and create a percentage deal with the owners or people who are making decisions for that venue or the managers? Chances are you would like to pay $0 up front with a percentage of the income going to you. And that's how they work. All the people who own anything, any venue, that's usually how they work. If you're an outsider, you pay a fee, and it's usually a heavy fee. And that fee is going to keep you back cash flow wise, competing against their own artists, the people of their own agenda. And it doesn't even mean they have to give you the place to rent. Okay? So they can deny you as well. So for example, I can either have somebody pay me $15,000 to rent out my theater or for the night, or I can charge them $0, but I'll take a percentage of their commissions of the income. So if they're bringing 30,000 people, and let's just say it costs $1 to get in, to keep it really simple, and I say I'll charge 30%, for your, hold on, let me do some math. Let's actually knock it to 50%. It's a lot easier math. So let's say 30,000 people come to the theater. That's a lot of people, first of all. And the reason I'm doing such a big number is because I said $1 to keep it easy. But 30,000, that's a pretty big theater. Okay, so 30,000 people times $1 each. Chances are concert tickets aren't $1, first of all. So we can knock that down about 2 zeros. But long story short, let's make it more realistic. Let's say let's knock 2 zeros off. Say it's 300 people at $100. That's more realistic. So you have 300 people in a venue at $100 each. That gives you a total of $30,000 gross. Okay, that's gross income. Now if you paid the venue $0 up front, but a commission, let's say they want to take 50%. So now 50% of 30,000 is 15,000. Okay, so still you're paying the same amount out of commission, but it's not as risky. Okay, paying $0 up front. So that's how they get their money, so to speak. And, if they're not charging you anything up front, chances are you're in their inner circle of people they're confident in that are going to generate the sales and generate the income because they're running a business and that venue has to make money. They can't just, let anybody in. They have to make money. So think of it that way. Who owns the clubs? Who owns the strip clubs people are performing at? Who owns the nightclubs? Who owns, the theaters? Who owns these places? Because that's where you want to perform, correct? And you need a place to perform, correct? You're not going to do it in your home or basement. They can't accompany 300 people. So who backs you? So the people who back you usually have assets. And these assets are things like venues, theaters. Hopefully you get the concept now. So now they can just put you into their theater at zero cost, but charge you a commission because they're confident in your talent. So who backs you? That's a great question that Joe Budden brought up about the Drake thing when Jay Prince popped up between the Drake and Kanye and Pusha T thing. Who backs you? Okay. How deep are you tied to these owners? Okay. So the second thing about becoming a famous rapper is think outside of music. Like Lil Pump does stuff outside of music that keeps his name in people's mouths. Tekashi 69 is a perfect example. He uses conflict as his core kind of strategy of getting attention, and it's working. Okay, it's been working, and it has nothing to do with music, right? So you have to do stuff outside of music. Lil Yachty does stuff outside of music. Trippie Redd, everybody does stuff outside of music nowadays because you have to. So it's a lot bigger than just does your song sound cool and is it the greatest song, and how are you, how well are you skilled compared to other artists and musicians. It's way beyond that nowadays. Okay, you have to get known. If I don't knows you, I don't flows you. Shout out to Grant Cardone. It's a perfect phrase. If I don't knows you, meaning if I don't know and trust you, I am not going to trade my energy towards you, which is money or attention. Okay, now thirdly, you got to pay your dues. You got to start sowing favor. A lot of people, they don't sow any favor, right? Imagine somebody asking you for $100 out of nowhere. That's basically what most artists and producers are doing, asking favors of people who they've never created a relationship with or never sown favor in before. It's like asking them for money when you don't know the person. Okay? Now, if it's not a loan, then, why are you asking for money? So I'm not just talking about money in this case. Let's bring it back to the Godfather example. He said, the Godfather would have, now I'm not saying this is, this is a crime story, so I'm not saying it's a cool story. I'm just saying it's a parallel, it's a metaphor. In the Godfather movie, he would have people come to him and say, oh, I need help. My daughter's husband is beating her, and he doesn't understand what it means to me because he's hurting me to my soul, and I'm weaker than him. Can you send someone to handle and beat him up for me? I'm just throwing out examples. I don't know what the mafia did or the mob, whatever, but it would be favors asked of the Godfather. And the Godfather would say, he'll sow the favor in the hopes that you return the favor one day. Okay, so that's how it works. He's sowing favor in his community. I'm not saying do crime. I'm saying sow favor. Do things for people, okay? And then don't expect anything, but the law of reciprocity in the universe will make that energy come back to you. And a lot of people don't even sow favor, but they're asking, okay? They're not giving value before they're asking. And that's the biggest problem I see. So firstly, who backs you? Who owns stuff? Who owns the venues? Who owns the outlets? Who owns the media outlets? Who owns the radios you're trying to get on? Who owns the playlist? Who owns the magazine? If you don't have any connections to anybody who owns anything, you're going to have to pay a hefty dollar to get in. Secondly, think outside of music. It's a lot deeper than music. Okay, it's deeper than rap, as Rick Ross would say. It's so much other stuff involved. And thirdly, you got to pay your dues. You got to start sowing favor. Drake did how many choruses and hooks for people? Those were all favors. And now Drake is one of the biggest artists, period, because he was building up his social proof element by doing hooks for people and giving them hot songs. And now he's the hottest artist ever. At least in today's age, I should say. Okay, that's because he sowed so much favor in creating those hooks and giving people the energy they needed. Now he's like, okay, now I'm in a position where I need your energy. Okay, so it's reciprocated. So hopefully you understand those concepts. This is not your typical training here at busyworksbeats.com. I'm going to give you stuff that you never thought about and never had, exposure to. This is how to be a famous rapper. I've been around people who can collect rappers at the drop of a dime. Been around power players, people who are making moves. You have to remember, just because the person's in the forefront doesn't mean they're making all the decisions, okay? Now, I'm not belittling rappers or artists. I just want you to understand there's people who make decisions, and it's not always the artist. So thanks for watching today. It's busyworksbeats.com.